For this week's Preppin data, we're looking at matching internal IDs to third-party IDs and the complications that can come with that. So first of all, we just do a simple join together of our two data sets to create this inner join. And this matches up our 5 IDs that are the same both in the internal data and the third-party data. And so we just classify these as such. We just add this calculated field called matched. Called status with the term matched for these 5 records. We also just get rid of a few columns, do some renaming, that sort of thing, because we're joining together 2 very similar data sets. If we just take a look at those, I guess that would be useful. Then we can see that we've got ID, sent, and sales for our internal data, and we've got sent, third-party sales, and third-party ID. So basically we could stack these 2 columns on top of these 2 tables on top of each other, but we know that there are similarities in the third-party IDs and so on. So that's dealt with our matched ones, so that's a good first step. Now we're kind of interested in any of those IDs that are not up here. So any IDs from the internal data, we're doing this right join to only keep the IDs that aren't already matched. And we're doing a similar thing down here, left join to keep all the third-party IDs that haven't yet been matched. So we do that, and naturally you kind of get a lot of nulls because they haven't got anything in the other data set. So we just need to do a little bit of cleanup for each of them to, just get rid of some of the columns and do a little bit of renaming from where the joins have happened so that we get back to sort of basically the same sort of data structure. But we've got our sent, third-party ID, third-party sales, and our ID, sent, and sales. And then instead of joining these on ID, because we know they won't match up, so there'd be no point doing that again, we simply join these by the sents, because we know that we're basically creating all the possible matches that could exist. So the bare minimum for these IDs to match is that they have the same sent at least. So if we create all the different pairings of ID and third-party ID for each sent, then that will allow us to sort of get to some matched on sent IDs. So we do that, we make that join, and then we calculate the sales difference, which we're just taking to be the absolute value of the sales minus the third-party sales. And basically, we're going to want to filter this so that we start off with the third-party IDs. So for each third-party ID, we only want to keep the ID that has the smallest sales difference. So we want it to be as close as possible because then that's more likely to be the right ID that will get matched. So if we go about doing that, first of all, then to work out what the minimum sales difference is for each third-party ID, then we use an LOD. So if I just open that up, we're grouping by a third-party ID, taking the minimum of their sales difference, and that's the value that we get there. We rename this field to be min sales difference, and then we do a nice filter. So our filter is to say that we only want to keep those rows where the minimum sales difference is the same as the absolute value of the sales difference. So that is just, we now have 42 rows where we had 42 third-party IDs. So we've just got for each of the third-party IDs the internal ID that most closely matches up to it. So we do that. But we can see, for example, if we look at our ID column, that we've got 13 IDs that are being matched to 42 third-party IDs. So we've still got duplication there. So we need to basically repeat this process, but instead of grouping on the third-party ID, we're doing it for each of the internal IDs. So we repeat those 4 steps there. Using the fixed LOD, and then we get down to 13 rows. So where we had 13 distinct IDs here, we are just making sure that we deduplicate over here. And therefore now we've got our all of our IDs which have been matched on sent, which are as close as possible. If we just, before we get rid of that sales, the absolute difference, then we can see that we've only got a difference of a maximum of 30,000. So that's not too bad in the grand scheme of things. But again, we're classifying them so that we can distinguish them from those that are being matched entirely on ID, just so that this would be where a more manual aspect would come in to check these IDs that have been matched on sent, and you kind of need that human intervention to double check that they are correct. So cool. If we just union these IDs now with our ones with our IDs that have been matched, then we can have a table basically of all the IDs so far that have been matched in some way. So here we now have 18 rows. So I believe that there are 49, 18, yes, sorry, there's 13 records here and 5 there. So yeah, that makes 18. I believe there are 49 in total third-party IDs that we're trying to match up. So we still have some other types of classifying to do. So basically, we want to bring out our third-party ID and sorry, if I just click on that, our third-party data and our internal data again to get, the remaining IDs that haven't yet been matched to anything. So if this table here is containing all of our so far matched IDs, then we're just going to be joining in our internal data initially, doing that right join again so that we just get back a list of the IDs which have yet to be joined, which are here. So we just do a little bit of cleanup to classify these as being unmatched internal IDs. And we do the exact same thing where we're doing a join with that table here of all the so far matched IDs with the third party data. We're doing that as a right join again so that we just get all the third party IDs that have not been matched up yet. And we just do a little bit of cleanup and call those unmatched third party. Then we're going to just be unioning those two together, so all of our unmatched IDs, and then also unioning in our matched IDs, so that then when we get to this table, finally, we have all 49 of those third-party IDs with some kind of status assigned to them as either matched or unmatched. And therefore, that is exactly what we're after. That is the end of the challenge. So I hope that that was useful to you, and thanks for listening.